go ahead and do that. We'll see. So I'm going to kind of stand to the side a little bit because when we found out we have a little feedback if the mic points that way. But speaking of pointing that away, we have our, there we go, that's the name of the talk today. In case you didn't know, this is our magic finger of PowerPoint slides. So last week we had the burning bowl and the white stone ceremony. So we had the burning bowl and we let go of things and we wrote it down and we let that thing burn away and dissipate into the universe and let God take care of it for us. Then we had the white stone ceremony where we got in touch with the divine and allowed that divine guidance to come in and provide us with our divine direction. Can you hear me okay? Okay, excellent. And so today we're talking about new thought seeds and new beginnings. And I'd like to suggest we have a new approach. Not that same old stuff. So we're going to talk, here we go. Let's say, there we go. Yes. A new beginning and a new approach. I'll be also talking about the doing part. Yeah, that has to happen too. And then coherence. So we'll talk about coherence. So it is the new year, time to get right to it, right? Well, why not try, like I said, a new approach from a different perspective, different from other years, different from the mainstream, different from what everybody else is doing. Let's just do it differently. Last year, I posted something on my Guiding From Here page about New Year's resolutions. I'd like to share that with you today. Is it not going to play? Guess not. Okay. Well, that was not exactly what we had in mind. There we go. So here you see I'm writing New Year's resolutions. And then I stop to think about it a little bit after I get that done. Oh, heck no. Yeah. Things that I need to do this year. Things I want to do this year. Okay? And even better, cool things I want to do this year. How's that? So the idea is that we can move from self-flagellating resolutions, we all know what that's about, to happy want-tos. We can move from deprivation to healthy and spiritual and abundant living. We can transmute the dreaded have-tos and the shoulds to the get-tos. We all have something that we want to improve or complete. Not everybody has giant goals in life, but everyone has something that they want to complete or improve on, if not for themselves, for others, or for the world, whether it be praying every day for the climate, the world, the healing, the peace. So let's talk about purpose. In fact, let's talk about purpose in general. Now, I wrote a purpose. I've been doing some work with outside of the church on myself, and one of the things that I had to do was write my purpose, and I wrote it in response to several questions that were being asked of me, and so it's long. So I'll read it to you. There you go. The purpose of my life is to shine as a beacon of light by bringing the healing of joy, clarity, humor, and compassion through my life experience, intuitive vision and understanding, lovingly following my spiritual imperative and life's dream, coherent and actively encouraging and inspiring others to better live in coherent harmony in their thoughts, words, and actions, so they may create their own healing and happy lives. But, everything was in response to a question I had to answer, and then I said, well, that is really long. And so I sent it to my mother, and of course, this is what she came back with. I think your life's purpose is to bring people to a more spiritual and healthy life. Leave it to moms, right? I love her. So I ask you, what's your purpose? Is it to heal, inspire, to bring laughter, help all you shining knights out there? Orchestrate, engineer, feed, and so on? Are you retired? Well, what can you bring now? Because let's face it, everybody who knows anyone who's retired knows that the busiest people on earth. And it's because we have second, third, fourth, and so on, ad infinitum, acts, don't we? We all have something. We have ahead of us a new year of new days we've never lived, designed, or fashioned, and filled to the brim with life and living. So I ask you to think beyond the resolution and the to-do lists. What will you allow? Will you allow miracles, magic, and grace in your lives? Will you invite them? Will you intend and set the intention? And what intention will you set? I'd like to read this from the other day. This was in the Daily Word. If you're a Daily Word reader, you might have caught it. My intentions set the course for an amazing life. So what do you want to manifest in this world? You want to reimagine yourself? Let yourself go, I say. Raise your sights. We are unfettered from the past. I ask you to think bigger, to be ridiculous if you have to. Just think outside the box and just let yourself go. Banish the barbed wire fences. I ask you to do this. Banish the barbed wire fences from your mind and your emotions. Those things that keep you in a little corral that you're too big for. Incorporate your spiritual truths and tools from your spiritual toolbox. If you've heard me speak before, you've heard me mention this toolbox that we all have, and it might include things like affirmations, visualizations, prayer, meditation, practiced awareness. Now, sometimes you might hear that as mindfulness, and gratitude, because gratitude's a biggie. We'll talk about that later. I ask you to use your spiritual compass. So to where will you point and align your sacred self? The self with a capital S. To bring joy. To bring joy, be joy, and share joy. That is the place to point, if nothing else. Now, new thought seeds and new beginnings. Let's let them be these things. I suggest you're thinking outside the box, you're getting a little wild. Now let's let them also be customizable, changeable, updatable, resizable, and recalibratable. You get the point? You are the star of your life. Think of the areas of a five-pointed star. They might be things like this, things that you would want to intend to manifest in: spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, social, financial, perhaps. Now, we're not limited to these areas, but we recognize that we are multifaceted beings, so that any one of those areas may be touched on and be included in your ideas and what you might want to do. Now, I have some handouts that Marcia's going to be giving you, but in the meantime, you can look up on for the next slide here. And this, some folks will recognize. This is the center, or this is the Wheel of Fortune by Catherine Ponder. Many of you know it. And there's many different variations on Wheels of Fortune and different things like this, treasure maps and what have you. But I wanted to give you this one today because Daniel and Jane and I were talking about it the other day, and so I wanted to bring it to your attention. So in the center of the wheel you see is God. God is our center, the center of us. And from the spokes of our center, or God, are these things: spiritual, which is peace; professional, which is plenty; physical, which is health; and friends and family, or happiness. Now you can learn more about this, and I'm hoping that we might get a class on this, but in the meantime, look it up in your Healing Secrets of the Ages or your Prosperity Dynamic, what's it called here? Laws of Prosperity, and follow along, and you can also do some Googling on it. It's a powerful way to integrate several images into one. So you're not saying, okay, I'm just going to work on my physical this year, or I'm just going to work on my finances this year. I can bring it all into one image. And I want to say this about it. this, I have one here somewhere. This might seem very one-dimensional, but when you start working on it, and you start putting your energy into it, and you're channeling God's energy into it, it is far from being one-dimensional. In fact, it becomes fully alive. Think of it as a living energy, spinning, light-filled God energy, filled with momentum. It's a very powerful tool. And I'm not being exaggerating, although there have been moments I might have done. Maybe not. A million times, maybe. So let's get personal. I love Brenda Bouchard, and actually it was one of his coaches that guided me on along to write down my purpose. And he says this, and I love that we're segueing into the daily word. Better self-care is a foundation of all personal development. The foundation. So think of it like this. If you don't have this vehicle called you, where are you going, right? So I'd like to share, these are some things that you might incorporate into your better self-care. You want to sleep more? Oh yeah, and I say eat more greens. Foghorn Leghorn. Now meditate. Do you know that you can grow new brain neurons by meditating? So as Deepak would say, meditate. And we want to see more meditation. And as Steve was reading, it doesn't have to be, everyone knows they have a center, a peaceful, silent, peaceful place, as was read in the daily word today. Move it, move it. Whether you want to dance, whether you want to swim, whether you want to walk, yoga, whatever is your thing, that is move it, just like was in the Madagascar movie. We want to get up there and move it, move it. I also ask you that you check your emotional compass. I have a reminder on my phone to check my emotional compass. It comes up and says, what are you thinking? Is it positive? Is it helpful? So sometimes it comes in the middle of something which I needed to be hearing that, So I'm just saying, think about it. Where is your emotional compass? Because that is where you're heading. So that's where we want to make sure we're on board with that. Again, I want to remind you from today's daily word from the doer of good, who read on self-care, I give my mind and body permission to rest and relax. So we're going to make some intentions. We're going to be thinking out of the box. We're going to be wild and get out of that barbed wire fenced corral of our emotions and mind and so on. And we're going to allow ourselves also to have fun, rest, and relax. In the January issue of the Science of Mind magazine, which was an article by a woman named Swati Singh, spelled S-W-A-T-I, and is her first name. And in it, she writes about bringing simplicity to your life. And I'm not going to tell you about the whole article. You can buy the Science of Mind out in the bookstore and read it for yourself. But I am going to give you the 7 points. Jane likes to know the numbers. 7 points, and I'm just going to give you my take on some of these 7 points. And the first one starts with this: create space. So not just elbow room, but yes, elbow room. Empty space. Provide white space, a white canvas for your mind and your heart and the rest of you. And what Swati Singh says is also create space in the corner for a plant. So create space. She says also, don't let possessions possess you. We all know what that's about, don't we? Oh, yeah. Hello. Okay. And she says, befriend silence. What Steve was talking about. She asks this: why is there a need to have the TV or music playing in the background even when you're not listening to it? Well, right? We all know people who have the TV on morning until night. They become numb to it. They don't even notice it's on, really. So I would also add to that, it can be a distraction from your intention. When I'm writing, I actually have nothing on. Nothing. I can't write. I don't want to be influenced by the emotion of someone else's emotion of a music or anything going on. So when I write, I want it to be pure coming through me. And when I'm editing, I do put on classical for studying. So that's how I do it. Now, there are people who do it all differently. There's all so many different ways. But this is what she's saying. Befriend the silence. It can be your friend and helpmate. So that's, what else does she say? Oh yeah, she says be grateful. I say, gratitude grows stuff. We've talked about that before. But I'd like to say it this way. It's like cosmic fertilizer. It's water and sun all rolled up into this awesome greatness of gratefulness that we call gratitude. Am I right? And she says, slow down. Wait, I hear some yes buts, especially for the type A's. Yeah. High-performing people. Look at it this way. We want to move and think and be from our center. So that's what I say about this slowing down bit. If we're getting too far ahead of ourselves and we're tripping up over things, sometimes figuratively and literally for some of us, that we want to slow down and get back into center and be, this is where I'm at, this is what I intend to be, this is what I want my day to be, and if I've already dumped a gallon of water all over the place, I can start over. You know, and I want to remind you of Simon and Garfunkel's slow down, you move too fast, got to make the morning last. Remember that? And you have to read it slow. Allow yourself room and time as well as space. From an affirmation that Charles Fillmore wrote in a writing he called The Mysteries of Genesis. I project myself through time and space, and I rise above all limitation. Want to hear that again? Yes. Okay. I project myself through time and space, and I rise above all limitations. Isn't that great? That's powerful. Then she says, this Swati Singh, she says, give back. That's number 7. Give back. I ask, remember our earlier talks about giving and receiving? We talked about the balance and the flow. Remember I said we don't want to be a stagnant pond with algae-ridden, stagnant pond. We want to be instead a free-flowing, beautiful, clean river. Because you know what's happening? With the stagnant pond, we are stopping the flow of God's good through us. We're stopping the flow of God's wisdom that we might share with others, or the creativity that we might share and bring joy to others. So we're stopping that. We want to have a free flow. We want to give and receive. And some people, all they want to do is give. Well, we want to also receive. We want to keep that flow of flowing. Am I right? Our flow also affects our manifesting. It affects our abundance and our overall. Just our overall. So giving and receiving. And good doing is sharing with our world in our ways. So not what someone else says, well, this is what you ought to do this year. This is how we do it in our way. Speaking of doing, I want to bring up the doing part. I would like to say this. Manifesting is not just about planting and praying for sun and rain. Okay? We have to do the doing part. We put one foot in front of the other. So the earth. The earth is the fertile soil of us, waiting and ready to accept new thought seeds. Okay? So we're the earth waiting. Very fertile soil. Fire, or the sun, is the life-giving light of God onto those seeds that we're intending. Water, life-quenching, sustaining energy. And wind, the doing part, the one foot in front of the other part, wind. And we might begin with assessing the self. So we want to do these things. We have great ideas. We've been thinking about buying that giant tub of kale. We just haven't gotten around to it. Yeah, people. So we've been buying that tiny little bag, but we're ready to move up now. So we want to do a little self-assessment. No kidding, self-honest, self-inventory, or review. What do we want? What's standing in the way of our emotions? What is holding us back? Is it something that's holding us back? A thing? Is it an idea? Is it an idea like, well, I've never been able to do such and such? Well, remember what we're doing. We are thinking out the box, aren't we? We're getting wild. We're throwing away and tearing down those barbed wire fences. So we are allowing. It's part of the assessment. Awareness is key, and we acknowledge ourselves. We may not be able to run a marathon physically or even want to, but we can do many other things, and they're the things that we want to do. It's so individual and unique. So one of the things you can do ahead of this is what I like to call data gathering. So in data gathering, I love to suggest this to people because it's safe. You're sitting in there, you're either sitting in a library or at your computer or your phone or whatever, and you're Googling your head off. You know, it's private, you're just, well, somewhat. But you're there, you're not committing to something. You're not buying a running outfit. You're not doing things. You're not going out and buying a whole grocery cart full of food for this fancy dinner you want to try out. You're just data gathering. You're getting the recipe. You're deciding these things. You're filling your heart and your mind with information. So once we've done that, we ask questions. Right? Marcia's a great example of asking questions. She wants to know something, she's going to ask you. And so I say that, ask, just ask. Sometimes things happen, you know. It's so interesting. It's very synchronistic, and it's the way God works in our lives. And I say, also kick it up a notch. Kick it up a notch. And what happens if you stop after a while? You're doing your thing and you stop after a while? That's okay, isn't it? Just start again. Like start your day over. Just mop that water up off that floor and counter and the rugs and and just start over again. This is from a quote from a Reverend Diane Kennedy from KCMO. You Missouri girls will know Kansas City, Missouri. That's what it means. Progress isn't always linear, she says. Setbacks can be part of the process of making lasting, positive change. So you know, if you trip or you just get so tired you need a break, hey, that's all right. That's okay. That's part of the process. So ask yourself too. These are things we need to do as part of the self-assessment and the getting and the data gathering. What changes are needed? If I'm thinking the same old things, am I going to make any new changes? If I'm determined that this isn't going to work, is it going to work? So what changes are needed? Sometimes that means that, you know, you need to ask yourself, what sort of skills do I need for this thing I want to do? If I want to learn how to cook Italian food, for example, do I have someone I can ask about it? Do I have a cookbook? Can I get it on YouTube? Is there a Google? What can I find? What do I need to dust off, polish to get those skills? Maybe learn something new. Identify them. Like, okay, if I'm gonna make lasagna, I'm probably gonna need some lasagna noodles. I might need some kind of sauce. These are the vegetables I want to use, and I'm gonna make a list. I might need to take a class. I might need to clear the garage, and I might need to dust things. What can we do? So these are the things that's where you start to look at making a list. Not the kind that you beat yourself up with, but the good stuff. Like, oh, great, I get to do this. And I'll be needing this to do it. So I'm going to ask you to be mindful throughout the year of what you want to harvest in your lives, to ensure that you're in alignment with that. Because throughout the year, not just the new year, not just your birthday month, but all year, because this is the thing that you're making an intention of. And so what happens is sometimes that changes. Sometimes it changes, and that's okay. We just update. Remember, updatable, upgradable, recalibratable. So our intention is made, and we have an intention to our purpose. So there's an intention, which is the thing we want to do, and we've got our intention. I intend to do this. This is my intention. Now we're going to put our attention on that purpose. And to do that, and I can tell you this from firsthand, seriously, We must guard against weapons of mass distraction. That is a, anybody who's an artist or a writer or anything knows about this very well. You know, oh, I can't sit down and write. I've got to do the laundry, dust, mop, make a list for the grocery store, all those things. All these things are, oh, I better check Facebook. Oh my goodness, that's a tunnel of a rabbit hole that I never, 3 hours later I pop up out of. So know which ones are yours. They're not the same for everybody. So I've given you some suggestions on what they might be. And as another thing that we do when we want to attend to our attention of our purpose is we want to identify new and change our daily, monthly, weekly routines. For example, to do this new thing that I want to do, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. I will do this instead. So instead of sitting and having tea at such and such a time, I'll do it later. Instead, I'll maybe get up early and meditate, or I will make a list before I go to the grocery store, so I don't come home with those impulse buys. These things. So we want to make a new daily, weekly routine, or change it, or just look at it. Is there something that I can edit from it? And we want to remember throughout the year to return, and day, and week, and month, to return to our center, our spiritual center, to nurture our purpose and not be distracted. We have faith and we believe in our higher power, God, the all that is, the divine. And while some may need to surrender, to disentangle from distraction or fear, we still know. We still have that faith and belief. So we've made this intention. We're not on our own. We might be doing our own thing, but we're not on our own. We have this faith and this belief and this knowing that we're channeling this. We feel this energy because we're not a stagnant, algae-ridden pond, are we? And now I'd like to talk about coherence. If you've heard me talk, you've heard me say this before, as above, so below. So we want to think and feel and speak and act in harmony, in coherence. To speak your truth, to act not against yourself or your truth, but on behalf of your desires. So if I have something that I want to do, I'm going to be aware of what I'm thinking, acting, and saying and doing, so it's not contraindicated or taking away and fighting against that is the thing that I want to do. So if I want to clear out the garage, I'm not going to bring a bunch of stuff home from yard sales. You see what I'm saying? So I'm cognizant. I may drive by the yard sale and, oh, I wonder if they have a Tupperware lid that matches this bowl from 1972. So no, we just drive right on by because we remember I've got that one corner or the 4 corners left in the garage that I want to clean out. So you just keep aware, and that's what we're saying there. And we align our energies. We align our energies with the thing that we're looking for, or with a combination of our intention and our attention. We align our energies with our head, heart, and gut. We align our energies with our 12 powers. We align those energies. And we allow for changes for alignment of coherence. If we know that we're not in alignment, we make the tweaks we need to do to become in alignment. And there'll be some things that James will speak about next week that'll help us with that. So it sounds so simple. But remember, you are the vehicle for your life. Put some love in it. Point it in the direction you want to head. Fill it with kindness. Generate joy. And fill it with goodness and fun, too. We need more fun, for joy in our lives. And that will seriously, in a happy way, bring us along during our journey. Just remember the whole time that everything is in divine order. And with that, I want to thank you very much for your attention. And I want to remind you that this afternoon at 12:30, Reverend Bonnie is doing a visioning workshop. So if you're interested in joining her with that, it begins at 12:30. And then I ask you to get in that silent, prayerful, peaceful place and prepare for meditation. Take in a deep breath and relax. Take in a deep breath and go to your center. Feel your center, the center of you, where God lives, inside, not outside, but inside. And as we stay here in our center, when we move from our center, yet we stay there, our attention may wander to our feet, where we are thankful and grateful for our understanding, for the foundation of our lives. And we move to our knees, and we're thankful for our flexibility, the flexibility of our lives. We move to our hips, and we're grateful, so thankful for the balance in our lives. We move to the 12 power life. We're filled with life, and we allow life to flow through us. Unobstructed life energy, creativity, beautiful life energy moving through us and through our entire being. And we are so very grateful. And we're grateful for the divine order of our elimination and releasing, that we may now and always remain in balance and allow perfect elimination and release in our lives. Divine order, we recognize and gratefully accept and share and direct divine order throughout our lives and beings, our bodies, our desires, our activities. Strength. We know that we have the strength to move forward. Anything we want to do, we have strength and divine order coursing throughout our being. And we join this with wisdom, as wisdom is manifest in our bodies and our lives, and we share it with others, and we recognize it in ourselves. Wisdom. We have this knowing. We know. We understand. Now, we recognize and celebrate the power of us, the power of God manifesting through us. And we allow the beautiful healing so that each word we speak, every act, every thought, the divine order manifesting through our power. We are so very enthusiastic and grateful for our enthusiasm, for we have intention, and we have the means, and we are joyful, and we allow ourselves the beauty of our enthusiasm, so that every action that we take is filled with enthusiasm. We are filled with zeal for life. In every moment that we take an action, that we do a thought, in the words we speak, we allow God's zeal to move through us and to manifest through our lives. We are so very enthusiastic. Our imagination is filled with wonder, and we allow unbounded imagination to bring to us many options, much creativity. Every faculty is filled and fills our imagination so that we may think of something new. We may all of a sudden know, and we have our center here, sharing the power and divine order of God into this wonderful faculty of imagination. Breathe it in and let it grow the life that we live. We're so grateful for the understanding that all these faculties bring us. And as we move forward and we learn things in life, that we just build and grow this understanding. And then when we're working with others, whether it be personal or casual, whether we're trying to understand something for ourselves, this understanding comes flowing forth naturally, is unobstructed. We have this inner understanding. And we have this faith. We're so grateful for the divine order of faith, that its power fuels our movements, and all the other faculties are working together. The energy is flowing, and we know that we have this faith. We are faithful. All is well. The will to move forward in our lives, the will to intend, the will to change, the will to look at ourselves, the will to live this life to the highest and best that we want, that we can, that we want to share with others. Beautiful, beautiful life, this life today. And we're grateful for the divine order in our will, in all our other faculties. Physically, from the tips of our toes to the top of our head, in every aspect of our lives and beings, and how we work with others, with each person that we meet along our path, and ourselves. And we allow these energies and these powers to grow, to work together in coherence. Each one so very important. We feel the healing coursing through our beings. And we share this healing energy, this unobstructed, beautiful, God-given, divine love, filling this room, surrounding this world, touching and healing each and every one. The earth itself, and back to us, back here, where we are in this sanctuary, where our hands and feet are, in this day that we are living, in this moment with our friends. And we're back, sharing that energy. And so it is. Amen.